Hey everyone, an ominous figure, world domination, the number of the beast. When we hear the word Antichrist, our minds immediately conjure up images from Hollywood blockbusters, a charismatic politician who deceives the whole world, or a terrifying demon heralding the end of days. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about the Antichrist from movies and books is, to put it mildly, not quite true? What if the Bible paints a completely different, far more interesting and unexpected picture? Today we're going to set aside pop culture and calmly explore who the true Antichrist is, according to the original source. And trust me, the answer might genuinely surprise you. Most people are convinced that the Antichrist is the main villain from the Bible's final book, the Book of Revelation, or as it's often called, the Apocalypse. Makes sense, right? The end times, the final battle of good versus evil. But here's the first surprise. The word Antichrist doesn't appear even once in the Book of Revelation. Not at all. This concept appears in entirely different New Testament texts, specifically in the epistles of the same Apostle John. And the context there is completely different. And that's our starting point. We're going to separate popular myths from biblical facts to understand who or what is truly being referred to. So, where do we even begin? Let's start with the most pervasive and perhaps the greatest misconception that's deeply ingrained in our minds. Myth number 1. The Antichrist is a single individual. Chances are, when you hear that word, a very specific image forms in your mind. A sinister, incredibly charismatic politician who unites the world, only to then reveal his true colours. Or perhaps a brilliant scientist offering humanity salvation from all its woes, but at a terrible price. Just think about it. Recall movies, books, TV shows. The image is always the same. A charming leader with a dazzling smile, whose speeches are broadcast everywhere. People look at him with adoration and hope. He performs false miracles, solves global crises, and promises a golden age. And somewhere behind the scenes, his devilish essence and the number 666 lie hidden. And you have to agree, this portrayal is incredibly convenient. It's simple and easy to grasp. There's one specific villain to identify and defeat, just like in a fairy tale or a video game. Good versus evil, one-on-one. This lets us believe that evil is something external, something that will appear from outside in the distant future, and our only job is to simply wait and avoid falling into its trap. This composite image, of course, didn't appear out of thin air. It was pieced together, like a jigsaw puzzle, from various fragments of biblical prophecies. They took a bit from the sinister beast in the Book of Revelation, added characteristics of the man of lawlessness that the Apostle Paul wrote about. All of this was liberally seasoned with centuries of fears, conspiracy theories, and Hollywood special effects. The result was a ready-made product that sells incredibly well. But here's the main catch. If we set aside all these films and open the specific passages in the Bible where the Apostle John introduces the very concept of the Antichrist, we find something completely different. The picture he paints is far more complex, deeper, and frankly, much more relevant to each of us, right here and now. But what does the Bible itself actually say about this? This is where it gets really interesting, delving into what's truly written in the original source, in the epistles of the Apostle John. Get ready, because this completely changes the game. John writes, and I'm quoting the essence here, "Children, it is the last hour, and just as you heard that Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have appeared." Do you hear that? Not just one, but many, plural. And they're not lurking somewhere in a vague future. They have appeared now, meaning they were already present back then, during the early church. This isn't a prophecy about some distant supervillain. It's a statement of fact, something happening right before the apostles' eyes. But John goes even further. He introduces the concept of the spirit of Antichrist. This means it's not just a random group of people. It's an overarching idea, a philosophy that unites them. It's like a spiritual virus that infects minds and spreads from person to person. And the apostle gives a very clear definition of this virus. He states that the spirit of Antichrist is anyone who denies that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. At first glance, this might seem like some complex and tedious theological debate, right? Well, he came in the flesh, he didn't come. What difference does that make to us today? But in reality, this is a blow to the very heart of Christian doctrine. To say that Christ did not come in the flesh is to say that God did not truly become human, that Jesus was merely a phantom, or a great teacher, or a wise prophet, anyone but who he claimed to be, God, who became one of us to save us. This is an attempt to neutralize Christ, to transform him into a safe historical figure, stripping him of his divine essence and redemptive power. And here lies another crucial linguistic nuance. The prefix anti in Greek means not only against, but also instead of. So Antichrist is not just someone who fights against Christ, it's someone who tries to take his place, to offer an alternative, a counterfeit, a cheap imitation that looks similar but lacks the essence of the original. It's the spirit of substitution, and this spirit, according to the apostle, has been at work from the very beginning. Okay, but I can practically hear your question now. Hold on a minute. What about that ominous figure from Revelation? The beast everyone will worship, the number 666, and the man of lawlessness? Surely these are specific individuals, not just some abstract idea. And that's a perfectly valid question. This is precisely where the main confusion arises. Let's carefully unpack this and separate one from the other. The Bible indeed describes two powerful and ominous figures who will emerge in the end times. First, there's the beast coming out of the sea from the book of Revelation. This symbolizes a mighty global political and economic system that will wield total authority. This system will have its own leader, who will demand divine worship and enforce a mark or inscription. This imagery is what largely inspired the Hollywood concept of the Antichrist. Second, there's the man of lawlessness, or man of sin, described by the Apostle Paul in his epistle to the Thessalonians. Paul depicts him as one who takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. This represents the absolute pinnacle of pride and blasphemy. So why are these figures so easily confused with the Antichrist? It's because their actions are the ultimate manifestation of that very spirit of the Antichrist. They do precisely what we've been discussing. They attempt to stand in place of Christ, to usurp his role. Let's conceptualize it this way. The spirit of the Antichrist is an ideology. It's like a software, a virus that has been infecting humanity for centuries with the notion that we can do without God, that humanity is its own God. The beast and the man of lawlessness, if you will, are the final, most potent version of this software. They represent its most powerful, concentrated, and horrifying embodiment within a specific system, and potentially a specific individual right before the very end. Thus, while closely related, they are not one and the same. The spirit of the Antichrist is a broad and ongoing phenomenon. The beast, however, is its culmination. To confuse them would be like confusing the ideology of fascism with the specific historical figure of Hitler. One gives rise to the other, but they are not synonyms. Understanding this distinction helps us realize that the biblical warning is far broader than simply anticipating a single villain. And now, for the most crucial and perhaps most shocking revelation from all of this, the biblical Antichrist isn't so much a specific individual from the future, but rather an idea, a spirit, a value system that is active right now and has been throughout human history. What defines it? The Apostle John is crystal clear. The spirit of the Antichrist is anyone who denies that Jesus Christ came in the flesh. It's any ideology, philosophy, or person that diminishes or distorts the person and work of Christ. It's not just about being anti, but also about being a replacement, an attempt to usurp Christ, to offer an alternative path to salvation or truth, one that actually leads nowhere. And this is where the crucial twist lies. The Bible warns us not so much to fear a future monster, but to be vigilant right here, right now, to recognize this spirit in the ideas presented to us, in the values imposed upon us, and even in our own thoughts. This shifts the focus from a distant future to our everyday lives. So, the true Antichrist, according to the Bible, isn't some evil genius with horns from the movies. It's a far more subtle and pervasive phenomenon. It's a virus in humanity's spiritual system that has been active from the very beginning. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If it made you think, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new, insightful discussions. And of course, let us know in the comments, how do you think this spirit of Antichrist manifests in the modern world? And if so, how? It would be very interesting to read your thoughts. Until next time.